Thank you all for giving me a hand, but now I want you to give yourselves a hand. Woo! Because you showed up today. Have you ever had a dream that was so big, and as a result of that dream, you created these big, hairy, audacious goals, and you just didn't achieve it? I'm not going to tell anybody. I won't take a picture of you and post it on Facebook, and everybody knows I love Facebook. Have you ever been in a situation where there was an all call for volunteers, and it was something you knew that you could do, but you didn't raise your hand? You didn't volunteer? And then you see someone volunteer, and you think to yourself, I know I'm better than that. I know we wouldn't admit it out loud, right? For the last 16 years, I've had the opportunity to work with both children and adults on developing effective communication skills. And one of the things that I find is that people are afraid, I mean deathly afraid, when it comes to giving public speeches, right? Even the research confirms that. It says that Americans' number one fear, even beyond death, is public speaking. But I believe that for some of us, fear affects us in our day-to-day lives. So today I'm going to talk about how we can leverage our fear and use that fear to propel us into greatness. There's this old cliche that most of us have heard, which says that ignorance is bliss. A couple of years ago, my family was getting together from all over the country for a big Thanksgiving feast. And my mom asked me to make the baked macaroni and cheese. I was so excited because I come from a long family of great cooks. So I was preparing to get ready to make this great macaroni and cheese, my signature dish. And my cousin Deidre calls me and she says, hey, Shera, thank you for volunteering to make the macaroni and cheese, but Aunt Shirley's going to make the macaroni and cheese this year. Aunt Shirley? We have a big family. I'm going to bring mine anyway. So I make the macaroni and cheese because this was my opportunity to establish myself in the family as one of the great cooks. I take that macaroni and cheese and I arrive. We get there. Everybody gathers around. We say grace. My heart is pounding because I can't wait for them to taste this macaroni and cheese. So I go and I make my plate and I come to Aunt Shirley's macaroni and cheese, and you know I had to taste it because I never had it before. So I get some of her macaroni and cheese. I go and I sit down. I look at it. It looks pretty good. I put it in my mouth. It was delicious and I couldn't believe it. Aunt Shirley's macaroni and cheese was the bomb. I didn't realize that she was the master macaroni and cheese maker. So I told my daughter, just go put my macaroni and cheese to the side. How many of us have been in situations where we thought we were bringing our A game? I mean, we prepped and we prepared, we showed up and we were ready, and something happens that causes us to just push our gifts to the side. One of the best tools that we have in our arsenal is that of communication. You see, messages are all around us, and messages are powerful. Messages have the power to create multi-billion-dollar companies. Messages have the power to also lead to billions of dollars worth of loss. Messages have the power to create excellent cultures filled with greatness. And it also have the power to create failure and loss. Messages have the power to build, and messages have the power to break. Communication is important, and we have the power to use our inner voice, our inner dialogue, when faced with adversity to help us overcome that fear. One of the things that the research tells us is that for every withdrawal, for every negative word, it takes 7 positive words to counteract that. Did you know that? For every one withdrawal, it takes 7 positive words to counteract that. So that means that we have to learn how to be our own cheerleaders. And even when we can't find it within to cheer for ourselves, we got to find somebody who can cheer for us. Have you ever had somebody when you didn't have the power to believe for yourself, who stood in the gap for you and believed when you couldn't do it? They pushed you. They prodded you. They told you could do it. And even if you don't have anyone in your life like that, remember, there are messages all around us, right? We can access YouTube. We can access podcasts. We can open up a book and learn how to do something. The next thing that we can do to help us leverage our fear and use it as fuel to empower us is the fact that we have the power to choose. Isn't that phenomenal? That we have the power to choose. Now, there's been much debate in terms of, do our beliefs lead to actions, or do actions lead to belief? Regardless of how you see it, there's tremendous research that talks about the correlation between belief, action, and results. I remember being in elementary school and looking at a folder that described me. And I remember one of the words that was used to describe me was belligerent. Can y'all believe that? Me, belligerent? Now, I didn't know what belligerent meant, but I knew it was something bad. When I got to middle school, I was a fixture at the principal's office. And I had a teacher, my science teacher, by the name of David Yaffe. And what other people saw as bad, he recognized as curious, and he called me a leader. He encouraged my parents to put me into debate when I got to high school, and they did. So I joined the debate team, and I remember I would stay after school and practice, and I remember that Mr. Yaffe called me a leader, and I would go to tournament after tournament after tournament. And my parents would say, "How did you do? Did you win?" No, not this time. The next weekend, we would stay hours at the tournament. And my parents would say, "How did you do? Did you win?" Not this time. But year after year, I kept showing up. And by the time I made it to college, I became a championship debater. But it took me 4 years. How many times when faced with adversity do we just stop when we're 3 feet from the finish line? Lastly, Ralph Waldo Emerson says, "To be great is to be misunderstood." And oftentimes we misunderstand our own greatness because of the fear that we allow to take over. But I'm here to remind you today that it's time to stand up and shine.